Welcome to Sensor Noise, a podcast about how hot it is right now.
Oh, is it a heat wave for you?
Yes, feels like 103 here.
Now, my understanding is in Ohio, it's not supposed to be like that.
No, no, at least not until like later in the summer. Yeah. This is what happened is we went from like a week of just straight rain and like 60 low 70s straight into like feels like it's Arizona.
Is this a heat dome situation?
It is a heat dome. Yes.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Yeah.
It's currently 68 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Here.
It's
I
don't like it. I don't like when I go outside and like you can feel how hot the air is, or you can smell how hot it is. You know?
That's no good.
Yeah.
You don't like it when it smells like the roads are melting.
If I wanted to live in a place that hot, I would just move to one of those places, you know?
Yeah, you can move to Phoenix. It's like that every day.
Right. But that's not what I want. And
No. Well, RIP, I guess. Hopefully how long is it supposed to last? A week?
Yeah, approximately.
Gross.
Basically through the weekend at least, yeah.
Ugh, yeah. Gross.
Like it's too hot really to drive my Miata because like it's not when you put the top down you don't get any like cooling air effect.
No.
It's just still hot. So yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah,
my thoughts are with you and the rest of the East Coast in this trying time.
Because you're just at like 70 something. Right?
Yeah, it's 71 is the high today.
Yeah,
we'll get some hotter weather. But the highest I'm seeing for the next 2 weeks is like 85.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our hottest month is September, generally.
Yeah.
Late August, early September tends to be the hottest.
Same here, yeah.
June and July are okay.
Yeah.
But I will say I installed a vent in my garage, and that is making huge differences out there.
Oh, nice.
Like I got one of those whirly birds, and that makes a big, big difference. Because there's no way I'm air conditioning that. But we do store food out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody in California. You store things outside because it's outside. Right. But when it gets over 100, it's a problem.
At work, we have a lab that has a bunch of test equipment that is always running and always generating heat. So the AC is always running in there, but it is getting uncomfortably hot in there these days because the combination of the solar irradiance and the heat generated internally means the AC cannot keep up.
Yeah.
So
ours gets like that in our house for sure. Yeah. I don't think we have insulation, but it's not East Coast insulation. It's not up to the task.
Yeah. See, I've been contemplating purchasing a portable AC just for my bedroom.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
You got to get one of the 2-hose ones, though, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
That's what I've been led to believe.
Well, I can't just get a window AC because my window is a sliding window, not an up-down.
That won't do it. And did you see they recalled the cool window ACs?
I did.
The like U-shaped ones, all of those got recalled too.
Yeah, I forget why, but that's kind
water
of funny.
Pooling or something.
Oh, sure, of course,
something like that. Yeah.
Well, anyway, news this week. Peak Design has finally come out with more tripods. So,
did they?
Yeah, so they had their travel tripod, and then now they have 3 new Pro tripods. They are following the Apple school of naming. We have the Pro, Pro Light, and Pro Tall.
Okay, that's fine. I think that this is an acceptable use of that.
Yeah.
At least it isn't Pro Max.
Should be noted that these are not travel tripods. They are meant to be, I guess, regular old tripods, but they are...
they're still pretty lightweight, though. It looks
they're still pretty light because they're made of carbon fiber.
Yeah.
And they have very similar, build and features and things like that. So,
and a ball head as well.
Yes,
that is very interesting.
Yeah,
this changes my tripod math. I never ended up actually getting anything. But
Well, I hate to tell you that these will, they're available on Kickstarter for a reduced price, of course.
Okay.
But retail will be $7.99, $8.99, and $1,000 of your dollars.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, never mind.
Yeah, these are like
never mind.
These are expensive, even in tripod terms, which are normally pretty expensive to get like a good one. But this is even worse.
Is it the carbon fiber? Do you think? Like, is that
no? Because you can get a carbon fiber tripod for not that much these days. I think it's just the Peak Design tax.
Sure.
No.
Well, good luck to them. I mean, they do look pretty good. I suppose for, I do wonder if this isn't actually that high priced, because the thing is, from my research I found, when you tend to get into the higher end of tripods, they tend more towards video. This looks true. Like they are not. Like they are really going for photography.
At least not exclusively video. Like you can do a little bit of video, but it's not.
Like all of their example pictures are like wildlife photography.
Yeah.
Which does not tend to be the kind of thing that the higher end tripods go towards. So that actually maybe isn't too bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's still a bit much for that.
Yeah, sure. Everything's a bit much these days, including Canon cameras, which are now more expensive than they were.
Yeah, well, I wonder why that would be.
Now, they said in April, Canon said you should expect virtually no impact to pricing.
Yeah.
However, then said never mind.
Right.
And
now the other shoe drops. Yeah, that the R6 Mark II is now $200 more expensive.
But interestingly, you see, it is less still than it was when it launched.
Oh, okay.
So the R6 II was $24.99 when it launched, and then it went down to $19.99. Yeah. And now it's $21.99.
Yeah.
Which is
the Canon EOS R3 was previously listed at $49.99, but was on deep discount that's brought its price down to $39.99. The camera is now $53.99. So
can we cut this shit out for real? Like I'm so sick of this. You launch a product at a price, and then you discount it a few $100
immediately go instant
later.
Savings,
right?
Yeah,
just to make it seem like it's
pricing.
less.
Right.
But now they can be like, oh, you see, we didn't change the pricing on our cameras. The savings just don't exist.
Yeah, we
anymore.
just expired. The instant savings expired. That was a limited time offer, and now it's. Yeah.
How is this not like consumer fraud? This just seems so anti-consumer to me.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they get away with this.
Well,
because everybody does it. I mean, Amazon, Kohl's, all of the retailers do it. Like everyone's doing it.
I love when Amazon is like, list price $3 million, your price $39.99. It's that's not real.
That's not how that works.
That's just a made up number,
Yeah. Kohl's,
like, you're saving 98%. It's like, no, I'm not actually. But
yeah, I feel like Kohl's was the
oh yeah,
they were the first to do this in the retail market. It feels like they forever they've always been like, look, our jeans are $50 and they're marked down from $100. It's like your jeans were never $100. Let's be honest.
Anyone who was paying $100 for your jeans was a fool.
They just make up like what the retail price is. It's anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of Canon, Magic Lantern is back. This means a lot to Canon people, I guess, but I am genuinely shocked to see this come back.
I didn't realize it had gone away.
So Magic Lantern is a third-party software suite that you can load onto your Canon camera that gives you a ton of control about it.
It's basically replacing the firmware on a Canon. Yeah.
Yeah. And it gives you way more control than the Canon software does, and a whole bunch of extensibility for, it has APIs and stuff that let you control everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's back, which is shocking to me. I never thought that Canon would allow this to happen again.
Yeah.
I never.
Well, so this is still only for DSLRs. It hasn't, I guess, gotten up to anything with a Digic 8 yet.
Sure.
and they're looking at the Digic 10, which would be the EOS R cameras, but it's apparently quite difficult. So
I'm sure it is. This is effectively the same as like a Wii jailbreak. Like it
this
runs
is reverse
off of the
engineering. Reverse engineering a custom, chip, incidentally. So it's not like there's documentation out there for what it can do, but yeah.
But I mean, as of right now, it does support the EOS M. So I'm actually curious if I got an EOS M for like a webcam, maybe loading Magic Lantern on there wouldn't actually be such a bad idea. They do say that they believe it would be possible for to go up to the Digic 10.
Yeah.
They believe it should be possible to do. What will be interesting to see is, does Canon like cease and desist them from orbit? I don't know.
It's curious. Yeah. Well, it's also interesting to me too that there's not an effort like this for any other camera brand, but
I think this is just an artifact of how many people had Canon Rebels, like we've talked about. I think that's probably what it is. It's just so many people bought those that there are so many of them out there.
Yeah.
That there's just a lot of them to tinker with. And I wonder if there's more similarity between Canon's different models than other platforms. Like, I don't know how these work,
that could be too. Yeah.
Maybe they're all like, is it all the same chip? So you only have to do the firmware once and it kind of works on everything.
It seems,
it could be.
It seems somewhat like that. Yeah.
Still very cool. I love projects like this where they, unlock the actual capability of the camera.
Yeah.
It's very cool. We love to see it.
Next, we have some new lenses. Viltrox has an 85 f1.4.
They announced this one a little while ago, I think, or they previewed it or whatever. But this looks pretty cool.
It's an 85 1.4, and this is only $600, which is pretty really good for an f1.4.
That's really good. Because even the older F mount Nikon 85 1.4s cost considerably more than that.
Yeah,
used.
Yeah, so, well, and let's see what the G Master 1.4 costs. Ooh, a cool $1,800.
So they're in the price range of the Sony 85 1.8.
Yeah,
that's probably the closest competitor to it.
Right, but you get 0.4 extra apertures.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, it's a newer lens formula, I think.
Right.
That one is too.
Yep.
Very cool. It is only for Sony mounts, though,
only
right?
for Sony FE at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, see, that's annoying. But there's all those adapters. I'm sure it's adaptable just fine over to other mounts.
Yep. And then you have the Sigma 17 to 40 f1.8 DC art. This is a successor to their 18 to 35. This is an APS-C zoom lens, but a more not like a necessarily a beginner-oriented zoom lens.
No, this is a pro. This is a pro lens.
Yeah, which it kind of stands out amongst, because a lot of APS-C lenses are meant to be sort of budget lenses because the cameras are meant to be budget cameras. So
yeah, I mean, frankly, most of the APS-C lenses are garbage.
Right,
they're just not very good.
But this one you can get for a whole bunch of stuff. What all? Where was with the listing of what all mounts this was for?
It's probably for most of them.
Yeah. E-mount, E-mount, Canon RF mount, Nikon Z mount, and Fuji X mount. So most of them.
Yeah.
The big ones.
And it has a clicky aperture ring as well.
Oh, nice.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
I like that. And I have to say, Sigma actually is going for their own look here. They are using a sort of serif font.
That's their new font. Yeah,
I like that. I kind of like the font.
Oh, can you turn the click of the aperture wheel off? I see. I see a little switch that says click on it.
I mean,
the aperture ring can be set for smooth or stepped functioning. There you go.
So you can use it either for video or for photo. That's pretty nice too.
If you are into sun stars and want to capture some dramatic sunsets or twinkling city lights, this lens does an outstanding job. The fairly round 11-bladed aperture delivers a dramatic-looking sun star with decent sharpness.
I mean, the sample pictures look pretty good for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look nice. This is good. I'm really glad to see this. I hope that Sigma continues with this.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a full trinity of these now in APS-C?
I think they do.
Like of this 1.8 ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see 17 to 40. There's a 50 to 100. So yeah, they do have a full set.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
I like to see that.
And finally, some film stuff. We have the first look at the Lucky Color 35 film out of China.
Oh yeah,
they've shared some sample, or they've shared a new test shot captured with. It's a ISO 200 film, and it just has a. It's one of the engineers on it, and he's holding a color test chart so that you can sort of see how the colors look. It's looks like a color film, basically.
Yeah, it does. It definitely has a style, but it's not like heavy-handed with it.
It's not like a lomographic type film, with a very opinionated color. But it is it's a little desaturated. It's a little blue-ish, I guess, in color temperature. A little cool. So yeah. And then some photo company called Leica.
These guys.
Never heard of them. They've announced Monopan 50, a new high-resolution black and white film with enhanced spectral sensitivity. It is the first true Leica 35mm film the company has released. My question is,
buying this from?
I was going to say, are they actually making this?
Yeah. I don't think they are. I don't see it.
I'm going to guess that this is an Ilford-made film, maybe with
right.
Yeah, maybe with chemistry, or with chemistry that they've an emulsion that Leica's sort of tweaked, but they're not actually making the film, I'm sure. So
it feels like it's got to be Ilford, or something. I don't know.
Right.
I really do not see them making their own film stock at this point. I mean, they could. But if they were doing that, they wouldn't be charging, what is it, like $10 a roll or something?
Yeah.
If they were really making their own, they'd charge a lot more than that, because it's Leica.
Oh, this is interesting. As DP Review speculates, it could be repackaged ADOX HR50 film.
That could be, yeah.
Yeah. Produced in Germany, it says. Well, that would make even more sense for it being an ADOX film. Monopan 50, it's monochromatic and panchromatic. ISO 50, they say it's ultra fine grain, resolution up to 280 line pairs per millimeter, and exceptional tonal range. This is interesting. ISO 50 is an interesting ISO. It's not super common, but yeah.
I'm looking at sample images from the ADOX HR50, and it looks pretty similar.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Leica Monopan 50 film will be available worldwide at all Leica stores and through authorized dealers starting August 21st for $10 per roll, and it's 35mm only.
All right.
It does come in a little Leica themed film canister that is black with a red lid. So
there's your $10 right there.
Yeah.
The box looks nice too.
Yeah.
The box is kind of a fun vintage style.
Yep.
As far as this lucky film, I'll see if I can get some next time my wife goes over to China. See if she can find some in
I don't know if it's available yet, but you keep an eye out. I'd be curious.
It's hard to tell. Those kind of products, like, it's kind of hard to tell when they're actually available, because their social media isn't like social media that they have that's external facing isn't likely to say anything until it's available internationally.
Right.
But, on Red Note or whatever, they might say that it's available. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
They say they're going to have a launch event in June or July.
Oh, okay.
Apparently,
not too. Yeah, fairly soon.
We'll see. See if I can get some.
What's Project Indigo?
All right, I want to talk about Project.
What is
Indigo.
this?
Adobe, they let the monkeys at Adobe back out of their jail and let them like make something again.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so they've made Project Indigo, and the short version is it's Adobe's take on a smartphone camera that does computational photography. So, like the iPhone and Android phones do a ton of processing on images that they take. They stack multiple images together to create the final image, and they have their own look about them on how they process things. Adobe said, what if we use, our technology to sort of do the same thing?
We know about pictures.
Yeah, we know about pictures.
Yeah.
So what if we do computational photography and do the image stacking and stuff on your device? So this is their take on it. They do a couple of things really interestingly. They took a different approach to stacking. They tend to underexpose their individual shots quite a bit more to be able to pull out more detail. They also stack more frames. They stack up to 32 frames together. That has a benefit. They need to do less denoising because there's less noise in the pictures overall. They shoot RAW, even on cameras from Apple that don't support RAW out of the box. Like things that don't have Pro RAW, you still get a DNG out of this thing. They do some very interesting things with tone mapping as well. They have a long article about this. That's an interesting read about the things that they were specifically trying to address. But
I think it's interesting. They say people often complain about the quote smartphone look unquote. Yeah. Overly bright, low contrast, high color saturation, strong smoothing, and strong sharpening.
Yeah.
And I guess this is meant to not do that.
Theoretically, yeah, it's supposed to not do that.
What if you had all the computational photography benefits of the iPhone camera without it looking like an iPhone photo?
That's the idea.
Yeah.
They are trying to make the resulting pictures look, they say their target is to make it look like the Adobe adaptive color profile in Lightroom, which is pretty standard. I mean, I use that one a lot. So that's their target. So the photos look like the other color profiles, which is pretty good. They say this based on our conversations with photographers, what they really want is not zero process, but a more natural look, more like what an SLR might produce. So that's what they're doing. They're doing less tone mapping. They're boosting some color saturation, but less and less sharpening as well. So it looks more like, it looks more natural. They also are doing some interesting thing with their RAW files in particular. They are smaller than Apple's Pro RAW with the same level of quality. So that's kind of interesting. But the other thing that they do that Apple's doesn't, if you've taken smartphone photos in the last, 10 years, they take HDR a lot of the time. But there's no way to see what does this look like on a non-HDR screen? This app lets you see. If you long press on any of the photos, it will show you the SDR version. So while you're editing, you can look at both and see if the tone mapping is, wild, if you need to fix it so that when you share it on social media, it doesn't look like crap, which is cool.
Nice.
It, of course, integrates with Lightroom. It has zero shutter lag. And this gets into, I used this over the weekend. This gets into some of the issues I had. But the way that they're doing zero shutter lag is they're basically constantly capturing RAWs the entire time the viewfinder is open. So instead of live photos where it's capturing low resolution JPEGs and then stitches them into a movie, right? They're capturing RAW photos the whole time, which
that sounds,
I don't know,
beefy.
Maybe not the best all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do the other thing though, which is kind of interesting when you're doing these stacking, for they offer full manual controls, and they added to their suite of full manual controls, you can control how many shots are stacked in the burst, which works really good if you still want to do that stacking, but also capture motion, water droplets, things like that. You can control how many shots get stacked, which is very cool. A lot of the Apple photo you can't choose that in the default camera app. You can't tell it, I only want 10 frames, right? It chooses. Right. You don't get any control.
Yeah.
So you get the full manual controls and then also that, which is very cool. But the thing I wanted to mention, where is this? They have a super resolution option.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really clever. They're using the natural shake of your hand to provide the slightly different viewpoints for the super resolution. And they show an example here of a really zoomed in picture of a city. And it really does make a difference. It makes a pretty big difference at 10x zoom.
Yeah.
Because just that little bit of motion from your hand holding the camera is enough for it to be able to fill in more detail. It's similar to, the GFX 100 does this too. It uses the sensor shift autofocus motors to do the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, but this is just using your hand, which is pretty cool. So I tried this. I was out at a baseball game this weekend, and I figured, I'll give it a shot. And I put in the notes, there'll be a link to a photo that I shared that you can look at. Tell me if you can see some of the issues here.
I noticed some weirdness in the sky.
Yeah, there's some weird blobbing in the sky that I don't really understand.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that has to do with the image stacking, but I'm not really sure what was going on with that.
It's clearly not clouds because it's just
no,
weird
it's not
shapes.
Clouds. There were no clouds. There's some weird stacking, and I couldn't find a way to fix it. So that's kind of concerning. I will say in the image, though, the preservation of detail across the dark and HDR highlighted areas is pretty good. So they definitely got that. But let me drop another link in the notes as well for another issue that I encountered. Check that one out. So I wasn't doing anything other than looking through the viewfinder, and my phone was overheating, as the app helpfully told me. So this, I think, is the caveat of it capturing raw images all the time. That it does
so is going to eat up your storage, and also
it heats up your phone a lot. And I have I have an iPhone 16 Pro. I have the most powerful one. And it really does heat up.
It's still a lot of data that it has to transfer very quickly.
Lot of data. Yeah. But it's interesting. I really like that they are also trying this computational photography thing on the device. I think there's no reason that the platform vendor should be the only one who gets to try that.
Right.
There's no reason. There's nothing stopping other companies from trying it, and Adobe's good to do it. And the other thing I wanted to call out that they did at the bottom of this article and at the top is they credit the actual people who work on it. I really appreciate that they still do that. Even in Photoshop, there's a list of all the people that work on it in the About screen. Nobody else does that anymore. And everybody should. You should be giving credit to the people who worked on things.
Yeah.
But try it. They're going to keep improving it. It's free. You don't even need to have a Creative Cloud account. You can just try it out. It's pretty cool. So they think they are going
supporting
to do
exposure bracketing, focus bracketing, and a number of other multi-frame modes.
Yeah, they're going to keep adding stuff to it as well.
Yeah.
And if you use Lightroom, apparently if you have this installed, the Lightroom camera button will get replaced with this button. So it'll just take you directly to Indigo instead.
Nice.
Which makes sense. But you see, they even have they also want to add other stuff. You see this technology preview they have for reflection remover,
I did see that.
Down at the bottom.
That looks pretty neat too. Yeah.
Imagine if that was built into the camera. That'd be pretty sweet. That would be super useful. So yeah, that's what they're doing. It's cool. I like this. Experiment more, people. Just try more stuff like this. So in other Adobe news, we've mentioned content credentials before.
Yeah, and content authenticity.
Yeah. It's back, and it's actually real this time.
Interesting.
So it's in Lightroom and it's in Photoshop. I don't know. I'm sure it's in other things, but you can do it. You can make images that have content credentials. So I linked one that I made. There's a Chrome extension you can install that gives you, it's like a C2PA verifier. And then you can just right click on an image and inspect the credentials in it. And it does. It inspects. It inspects the credentials. And it shows you like what app or device was used. Here, I'll get a screenshot so you don't actually have to like do this, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm really glad to see it actually happen.
Yeah.
Now, my complaint is that because Nikon still hasn't delivered on the actual support in the camera.
The in-camera support, yeah. That you have to add it.
Well, everything, all of the edits are captured here. So look at the screenshot there. All of the edits are captured. But it just says like open to pre-existing files. So the full chain of things that happen to this aren't actually available. Because it doesn't have like the source file doesn't have a content credential. So that's kind of annoying. But presumably once they do add that, then you would be able to have it. I don't know. It's interesting also that it contains like a low resolution preview of the original.
Yeah.
As well. So you can see what that started as.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat. The way this works in Lightroom, you can choose how the content credential gets attached. You can have it like embedded in the JPEG itself and uploaded to Adobe servers. So it's kind of in both places, or you can choose it just gets like a link in the JPEG that goes to Adobe servers, but you can embed the entire credential in the file itself. So this one has both for testing, the one that I uploaded. I do want to say social media, stop stripping out the C2PA headers. Yeah, a bunch of the social media platforms just strip the headers, including Mastodon, which is kind of surprising to me.
Oh, yeah.
But they strip that out of the EXIF data and stop doing that. They shouldn't. All of them should preserve it and then let you view it. I'm sure Instagram will never do that because Instagram...
Why would they?
Yeah, they're incentivized to not do that, in fact. But anyone that's serious about photos, so like Glass... Mastodon, what's the Mastodon? What's the photo
PixelFed?
PixelFed, yeah. All of those should keep it and allow you to verify it in the app if they care about photography. It's kind of late. I mean, that's one of the main criticisms now is like, the cat's out of the bag on this AI stuff. But I don't know. I feel like there's a possibility that if more creators and more photographers and videographers start using this, then you can claw back some of that. At least that's my hope.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to mention, MicroSD Express. Bullshit. It's BS. I hate it.
Oh, okay.
So I got a Nintendo Switch 2.
Is it just SD Express, but in a micro SD form factor?
It sure seems like it, yeah.
Okay.
I I'm sure this is coming to cameras. This made me feel like the early days of having a camera with an XQD slot, where it's like, oh, you have this brand new device and there is one expansion card you can get for it, and also it's like $80.
Yeah.
So MicroSD Express is just like faster MicroSD. And yeah, there's like 2 of them that are available. One is Nintendo branded and one is not, but they're all 256 gigs. There's nothing larger than that that's actually purchasable as far as I can tell.
Interesting.
Yeah, stupid. Stop making new media formats.
MicroSD Express. Walmart's dirt cheap MicroSD Express card for Switch 2 is back in stock.
Yeah. Stop it.
I'm seeing a SanDisk MicroSD Express 256 gig and a Samsung MicroSD Express 256 gig.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's a PNY MicroSD Express 256 gig.
Right.
GameStop MicroSD Express 256 gig.
Yeah, none of the bigger ones are actually available anywhere.
Yeah.
So Lexar, the only ones that I see that are even announced are from Lexar, and they're 512 and 1 terabyte. And B&H says September is what it says.
Interesting.
So the only option you have is 120. It is 128 or 256. Is a PNY 128 as well. Those are your only options. Memory card manufacturers, cut this shit out. I'm sorry, cut it out.
There's an ONN. This is the Walmart brand MicroSD Express card, 512. Oh, out of stock.
Yeah, right.
GameStop. GameStop MicroSD Express 1 terabyte. Pick up in store, it says. Find a store. Same day delivery today. I don't know about that. Ship to home, not available. I'm going to assume it's not available then. Yeah. Which is fine because it's also almost $200 for that. So,
but like what's wrong with just using a regular size SD card in these devices? I truly don't understand.
Well, in like the Nintendo Switch in particular. I don't know.
There's plenty of
like,
space.
Why does it need to be a tiny little one? Yeah.
It's the same with any of the cameras that we've had that have, there's a couple, right, that have one regular SD and one micro SD.
Yeah, my ZF is like
stop that. There's plenty of room.
Right.
I don't understand. We don't need to keep making these.
Partially as a function of just the size, the micro SD cards are not as reliable or long-lived as the full-size SD cards.
They're certainly not.
They heat up way quicker.
Like, I think the constraint on these is size. If you look at the bottom of the MicroSD Express card, half of the card now is covered with gold contacts for the data transfer, right?
Right.
They're out of room. There's no more room. And the only way to get faster is more parallelism, and there's nowhere to put it.
Yeah. It's like, you have hardly any space already for the actual memory chip, and
Meanwhile, SD
like those memory chips are getting smaller, but they're not getting that much smaller, that much faster.
No, they're not.
I don't know. It's bizarre.
And I don't understand if there's a meaningful difference between MicroSD Express and like the what's the SD one? It's not Express, it's something else.
No, it is SD Express.
Is it SD Express?
Yeah.
I don't know what the meaningful difference is between those. I feel like there isn't one.
It is the same. Yeah, it's the same thing, I guess. In the same vein that where you can put a microSD card into an SD adapter, you can do that with SD Express and microSD Express. But
so that means now that half of the SD cards that you buy are actually microSD Express cards in an adapter.
Well, and also one thing is that SD Express is not the same as SD UHS 2 or 3,
right?
Which are also those are also SD cards that have like a second row of contacts, but it's a different second row. It's a whole different thing.
Right.
SD Express is faster than those because it uses PCI Express underneath. Just like everything these days.
Just like everything.
Everything is just PCI Express underneath.
We're just converging on that, which is fine. But like, I just don't think it needs to be that small.
I think
it really doesn't. It's not necessary.
I'm just waiting for the MicroSD Express that is like an X16, and so it's just a solid gold sheet on the bottom, or or it looks like an Intel CPU where there's just like hundreds of little tiny pads.
Yeah, they switched to BGA.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Stop it with these memory card formats is all I'm saying. Just let me put an NVMe card in.
There's an article from Rock Paper Shotgun that says, in case you were wondering, no, the Nintendo Switch 2's MicroSD Express cards aren't good for the Steam Deck.
No, they're not.
Which is why they're named differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even then, the Switch, if you put a regular MicroSD card in the Switch 2, it won't let you.
Yeah. It only
just complains about it.
Which I don't think there's like physical reason that would prevent that.
No, they're doing the same thing PlayStation did, where it's about speed.
Yeah,
they're complaining about you don't have enough speed or whatever.
Because the microSD or the microSD Express cards are backwards compatible.
Yeah. I tried. I put it in my SD card reader and it reads fine. It doesn't care.
But the Switch 2, they're just like, no, we're not.
You can't have it, and it's all because of speed. They want that 800 megabits per second or whatever.
But they are so far, the Switch 2 is like the only device that has adopted XD Express.
It is literally the only device. Yeah. I don't think there's another one.
Even some of the new handheld, not Steam Deck, because that hasn't been updated, but some of the Steam Deck alikes, like the ROG Xbox Ally, that's still just sticking with a regular microSD.
Which is fine.
But
even then, even with the Steam Deck, if you want more storage, you can just put a bigger NVMe SSD in it.
Yeah.
Because it just has a regular slot in there. You just put a bigger one. I don't know. Come on. There's plenty of room in there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
We don't need to keep inventing new memory card formats.
Well, they could put a little door with a little, with a screw on there. But
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know it needs to be better for children so that kids don't destroy it, but they could easily.
But surely a tiny micro SD card is not ideal for children.
They're going to eat it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think they still flavor the cartridges, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying is they know this is a problem already, right?
Yeah, exactly. Kid's just going to swallow it. You're going to spend like $300 on a 1 terabyte micro SD Express card, and then your toddler's going to swallow it.
I'm willing to compromise on mini SD. But only that.
I actually want memory stick. We should have memory stick.
Oh, okay. Which one?
I don't know.
Do you want memory stick?
In the fullness of time, I'm sure Sony will bring something back and call it memory stick.
Memory stick Pro, memory stick Duo, memory stick Pro Duo, memory stick Micro, or memory stick Pro HG.
Oh, I don't know. Pro HG sounds fancy.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Memory stick Select.
No, that's right.
Or Pro HG Duo. Or memory stick XC.
You know what I hate to see, though, is that Wikipedia says memory stick is, not was.
Well,
it needs to be a was.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Sony continues to support memory stick on certain newer devices through the use of adapters. Great.
They should stop doing that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Fascinating.
That's my storage complaint for this week. Stop making new formats.
Yeah.
So what are you up to? You got any events coming up?
Well, the IndyCar race is coming up in a couple weeks.
Oh, right.
This week, pending the weather, there's the Cars and Coffee. Columbus has 2 Cars and Coffee groups. One is like your typical Cars and Coffee group where they just sort of meet up in a parking lot every weekend. The other one is a bit fancier. I'm not sure I fully understand the purpose of it, but they have fancier events less frequently. But one of them, I guess, is called Cars and Copters. And it's out at the headquarters of the Scott's Lawn Company. Yes, that's Scott's Lawn, the fertilizer people.
The fertilizer people, okay.
Yeah. Because I guess the CEO or someone big up at Scott's Lawn likes cars and also helicopters. So
I mean, that's your typical hobbies for a CEO. I feel
sure,
like.
Right. So I figure I might go to that and, at least get to look at helicopters. The cars, I don't know. This is the thing. It's like when you get to the level of like rich people cars, I stop getting interested. I'm not really that interested in what flavor Ferrari you have. That doesn't. Because I'm never gonna have one of those, and I don't really want one. So,
yeah, it's not just that I can't afford one. I also have just no interest in it at all.
Well, and the other thing is these events is it ends up just being like a parade of like various Porsches, and I'm just like,
yeah, of course,
yeah, okay, yeah. So
I mean, you can get that for free in Mountain View. You just sort of stand on Main Street there.
So I'm gonna show up with my Miata, and yeah,
good. That's the kind of car that should be at Cars and Coffee.
Yes.
There's a guy who lives near us a couple blocks over that I walk by his house all the time. And he's got a couple of cars that look pretty cool, but the license plate frame on one of them says like, all of my cars suck. This is like my other car's a lemon. He's got a bumper sticker on one of them. That's the kind of guy you want at Cars and Coffee.
Yeah, right.
For me, I don't know. We've got some friends coming in a couple of weeks, and I think we're going to try to take them up into wine country up in Sonoma, because I was flying last week and all of the greenery here is dead because that's the season we're in.
Nice.
You get like 3 or 4 weeks where it's like nice and green up north of here. And then it all just dries out immediately and dies. So everything is brown here already. And
not great.
Not the case up in like Sonoma. In Sonoma, it's still nice. But,
yeah.
So I'll probably go up there. I might try to rent a Fuji medium format to try that.
Well, that'd be neat. Yeah.
Gotta get my own version of the
Windows
XP wallpaper,
Yeah. I should note I did make a purchase, but it was basically to trade in my Pentax 645 body for one that is in a bit better shape.
All right. That counts. That counts.
Yeah. Yep. This one actually, so my previous one, the viewfinder was like out of sync with the actual focus.
Oh.
So when it was in focus, you'd be looking through the viewfinder and be like, I feel like it's slightly out of focus. So whenever I manual focus stuff, it was often wrong. This fixes that issue. So
that is good. Generally, you want those to be in sync.
You do, yes.
You don't really have
difficult.
There's not much else you can do.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to whip out like a laser rangefinder and try and yeah.
Oh, there was an update before we go. There was an update on the Curious Mark video that I posted about. That we talked about last week. He managed to get a hold of the original focus plate for this camera, which is this, of course, like fancy HP. Dingus. Right. It's got its own part number and everything. But more importantly, it seems like it may be possible to adapt a Loma graph lock back to the camera.
Oh, is it a 4x5?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it is compatible with the Instax packs.
Yeah, you could use. You could just put Instax wide in there directly.
More importantly,
that's interesting.
There was at some point HP model 10352B graph lock 4x5. There was a compatible back for this thing for graph lock film at some point.
Interesting.
So that's what he's going to explore next.
Yeah.
Which would be really interesting if that's possible.
It's gonna become a large format guy.
I mean, he's the kind of guy who would.
Yeah.
But more interestingly, like, because now he has the official focus plate, it's probably a lot easier to focus it correctly.
One would hope, yeah.
And then maybe you can actually make it work with this. So I don't know. If they update again, I'll say something, because this is cool. I like seeing this kind of like adapting newer films onto older stuff.
It would be funny to get a proper like 4x5 film plate and then put proper Ektachrome in there or something.
I'm sure you could. I don't know if it would be bright enough though.
Yeah, that would be the challenge, is that you'd probably have to put some pretty high speed film in there.
Yeah. we'll update as things.
Well, and I don't know too. I don't know does it have like exposure control of really any kind? Or
yes, it does. It has shutter speed, and there's some aperture, and there's even a shutter sync and like remote shutter button.
That's nice, because most Polaroids, don't.
Yeah, right. No, it has some adjustability.
Okay, so you could, right.
You could do it.
You could make it. Yeah.
The question is the flange distance, like the distance, can it focus within the distance that makes the graph lock back work? I don't know.
I'm just like, maybe. Can you get high speed? No, the highest speed sheet film you can get is 400.
Yeah.
They don't make like Delta 3200 in sheet film. Which is a shame. They should. That would be fun. But
Instax is definitely the best option.
Yeah.
You just have to get it on there somehow.
Well, that's what's so frustrating is Instax is a really good instant film, and Fuji just like Fuji, you could do stuff with this beyond just like making toy cameras, but
no, that's preposterous.
Yeah.
It doesn't sell, you see. We need to make toys.
Yeah.
Toys sell.
What if we made it where there wasn't actually a, proper like camera to film, but it was just a digital camera, and then it just printed out.
And then it printed on the film. Yeah, those drive me nuts.
Yep.
Sorry to the people that love them, but like, come on now.
That hurts my soul a little
bit. It does. Alrighty. We will talk to you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Blue Sky and Instagram, all the places.
Well, not all of them. Most of
them. Well, those two specifically.
Those two places.
Those two places.